3 days in, and they already call you their person. Good morning texts. Good night texts. A dozen small messages in between just to say they are thinking of you. It feels incredible. It feels like you've finally been chosen. You tell your friends about it. You can't stop smiling at your phone. This, you think, is what it's supposed to feel like. But here's the thing you don't know yet. That feeling isn't random, and it isn't really about you. By the end of this, you'll understand why the very rush that feels like being chosen is actually a controlled dose of chemical conditioning, and why the crash that so often follows isn't an accident either. You've probably heard the term love bombing. Maybe you've lived it. Maybe you're in the middle of it right now and you don't know it yet. So what is actually happening inside your brain when someone floods you with attention that fast? To understand that, you have to start with what romantic attraction actually looks like inside your skull. In the early 2000s, anthropologist Helen Fisher scanned the brains of people who had just fallen in love. What she found surprised a lot of people. The brain regions lighting up weren't the ones tied to warmth or comfort. They were the same regions that light up during cocaine use. Dopamine. Reward. Craving. So romantic attention, in the earliest stages, isn't emotionally soft at all. It's neurologically closer to a drug. And like any drug, the way it's delivered changes how powerful it feels. Which brings up the real question. If love naturally floods your brain with reward chemicals, why does love bombing feel even more intense than a normal healthy relationship does? The answer isn't more affection. It's timing. Decades earlier, psychologist B.F. Skinner ran experiments on reward patterns using pigeons and levers. He found that a steady, predictable reward barely held their attention. But an unpredictable reward, one that came sometimes and not others, created the strongest, most obsessive response of all. It's called a variable reward schedule. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. So picture what that means for you. A love bomber isn't just giving you affection. They're often giving it in bursts, intense one moment, quiet the next, then intense again. Your brain isn't just enjoying the attention. It's chasing the pattern. And that pattern hits something even deeper than dopamine. Psychologist John Bowlby, the founder of attachment theory, spent decades studying how humans form emotional bonds, starting with infants and their caregivers. One of his core findings was that inconsistency, not neglect alone, is what creates the most intense attachment anxiety. A caregiver who is sometimes there and sometimes not creates a child who clings harder, not less. Sound familiar? That's the twist hiding underneath love bombing. It doesn't just borrow the chemistry of early romance. It borrows the exact blueprint of anxious attachment. The rush isn't just excitement. Underneath it, your nervous system is quietly asking whether this person will still be there tomorrow, and that uncertainty is what makes you hold on tighter. So here's the answer you were promised at the start. That overwhelming feeling of being chosen is a controlled dose of chemical conditioning, dopamine from novelty and attention, delivered in the exact unpredictable rhythm that both slot machines and anxious attachment are built on. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when it responds this intensely. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do when faced with an inconsistent, high-value source of reward. But if it's this powerful, why does it usually fall apart? Because the intensity was never sustainable to begin with. Real intimacy is built slowly, through actual trust, actual reliability, actual time. Love bombing skips all of that and goes straight for the chemical peak. And once the person has secured your attachment, the bursts often shrink. Not because the relationship failed, but because the strategy already worked. That's the counterintuitive part. The crash you feel afterward isn't a sign that something went wrong. For some people, it's the plan working exactly as intended. And this is where it gets uncomfortably close to home, because you've felt a version of this outside relationships too. Think about how a new follower spikes your excitement more than a steady one. Think about how a message from someone who rarely texts you back hits differently than one from someone who always does. Every notification you can't stop checking runs on the same variable reward loop Skinner found in his lab, just wearing a different outfit. Modern life has quietly trained you to associate unpredictability with value. And love bombing simply plugs directly into a wiring you already have. So the next time attention comes in fast, constant, and overwhelming, you don't have to distrust every warm feeling you get. But you can ask yourself one question. Is this steady, or is this a pattern? Consistency, it turns out, is one of the least addictive things a person can offer you. And that might be exactly why it's the one that actually lasts. 3 days in, and they already call you their person. Now you know exactly why that felt like everything, and exactly what to watch for next time it does.